Good morning everybody. Today we are going to study a new concept that is a part of the previous video lecture where we have seen something called as process management. So we have already gone through a concept of process. So by now we know what is process. By now we know what is process. Okay. What we have seen in the previous lectures is what is process. Okay. What is the role of process in smooth execution of any application program in operating system. What are the attributes that a process comprises of. We have seen process control block. We have seen life cycle of a process where we saw what are the different stages, okay, that a process goes through right from the beginning till the end. And while this is happening, we have also seen the different data structures which are used by process in order to execute completely. So we saw states like new, we saw state like ready, running, terminated, IO waiting, okay, and we also saw different data structures used like long-term scheduler, short-term scheduler, mid-term scheduler. We by now know the importance of degree of programming, how much important it is, okay, that is based on the type of process, okay. So that is what we all have seen. Then further we also let's recollect that we also saw that there are multiple processes getting created when an application is executing, and while this is happening, while multiple processes are competing to execute, it is a role of operating system. The most important role is to schedule these processes so that nobody is victimized. Scheduling is done in such a way that all the processes get time, all the processes get memory, all the processes get CPU for execution, so that your execution of application should progress. See, very simple. If I am executing one program, okay, if I am executing one program A, okay, and if there are multiple processes getting created, okay, process 1, process 2, process 3, for complete execution of program, all the processes should get executed. It's not like 1 and 2 only I'll allow, I'll not allow 3. If I'm doing this, my progress will not happen. My application will not execute properly. Okay. I'll not be able to execute that application completely. So scheduling of the process also becomes important, and while doing this scheduling, we also saw when CPU is executing process 1, okay, when CPU is executing process 1, okay, the process control block of process control block of first process gets loaded into the memory. This process control blocks gives total idea about where the process is, how much is the process size, and all those related things, okay, by the microprocessor, and executes it. So similarly, if after one, if process number 2 is taken up for execution, the process control block of process 2 is loaded, and then after that, if I am going for process 3 execution, then process control block of process 3 is loaded. Now every time this is loaded and it is removed, there is some sort of processing that is happening, and although we will never be able to make out a system is doing this work, and in order to complete this work, process needs some time. Processes, some valuable time is contributed. So we saw something called as there is a switching between the processes happening, and we saw something called as context switching. Context switching. So that is what we have seen, okay, and we have seen the importance of context switching. Too much of context switching is also dangerous. We saw it in the last lecture. So now let's try and study what is the significance. We while we are studying these processes, okay, and we'll try to go in more detail, and we'll try to see one more version, okay, which is going to be a parallel version of a process, so called as thread. So in today's lecture, let's start with the next part, okay, of the concept which is covered under process management category. Okay. So we all know our system is a multitasking system. Our computer is a multitasking system. So a keyword multitasking needs to be understood. So what is multitasking? So I am executing, this is my system, and I have got one application running as MSW. I have got one more application running as maybe Windows Media Player. I may have one more application running, say XYZ. We ought to witness that whenever we are executing multiple applications in your computer, so I am watching some live cricket score on maybe some website, Yahoo. I am listening to music. Simultaneously there are one or two documents open. I am trying to read those documents. So obviously multiple applications are executing in your system simultaneously given a time. And we have never seen your system saying, sorry, I'm not left with any memory, I can't open this application anymore. No, your system will support any application that you open, and the question should come to your mind that, okay, how this is happening? I have got a limited size of memory, but still my system allows many applications to operate very easily, and I have never seen my system saying, sorry, I am left with no more memory, I can't allow you to start this application. This we have never seen this. Okay, at most your system's performance gets lowered. Okay, your system becomes slow. That is the only thing that we have witnessed. So the logic of this lies between a keyword, in a keyword, multitasking. Your system is a multitasking system. System has got a capability of executing doing multiple things simultaneously. And this is possible only because the concept that we have studied so far. This is possible only because the system supports something called as a process. This is possible because of process, or it can be also achieved with the help of a thread. It can be also achieved. So multitasking is a process of executing tasks simultaneously, and we can do this either by using, we can have a process-based multitasking. We can either have a process-based multitasking. We can have a thread-based multitasking. We can do this using this two different concepts. So when it is done using process-based multitasking, we definitely call it multiprocessing. We call it multiprocessing. And when you do it using thread, we call it is multi-threading. So these are the two ways we can achieve multitasking, where we can execute multiple applications, we can perform multiple tasks in a computer simultaneously. So now it's a high time, we already know what is a process, program under execution. When I execute any application, it gives birth to processes. So process is program under execution. Now it's a high time to see what is a thread, and then if we can do multitasking can be done using both the methods. It's a high time to compare process with a thread. What is the difference? What are the merits? What are the demerits? When processes are coming into picture, as well as when threads are coming into picture. What is the basic difference? So now let's see the basic difference. So far as the process is concerned, whenever I'm executing any application program, okay, and a process is created, okay, each process has got its own address, dedicated address in a memory. So each process gets its own memory. So if I'm executing process P1, if I'm executing process P2, P1 will have some dedicated space in memory, P2 will have some dedicated space in memory. This is a starting address, this is an ending address, and the space in between is a space that is consumed by P1. The same way it is applicable to P2. So process will have its own dedicated memory that will be used for execution. Second thing is, processes will have its own data structures. Processes will have its own stack. Processes use its own stack. So every process will have its own stack. Every process will have its own stack. So processes are independent. They have got their own memory, they have got their own data structure that is used as like rough page, okay. And at a time, you can see one process is taken up for execution, then the next process is taken up for execution, so they have got dedicated CPU attention also. So now what is happening? What is happening? See, I am executing a program X. It is giving birth to process P1, process P2 and process P3. Say P1, P2 and P3. Process 1, process 2, process 3. And if I want to execute this program completely, okay, what is required is I should execute P1 first. Then I should execute P2 first, then I will execute P3 first, then I will say I am done. Then only I am done. So what is done? What is the modus operandi? First process P1 comes into CPU for execution. Then the P2 is loaded in the execution. Then the P3 is loaded in the execution. So the perspective of P1 is loaded, once done, removed. The perspective of P2 is loaded, once done, removed. The perspective of P3 is loaded, once done, removed. I am talking about the process control block. Process control blocks need to be loaded, read accordingly. The process is given memory, accordingly process is executed, because process control block is someone who gives total idea of a process. What is the priority, what are the permissions required, what are the files, input files process needs to read, what are the output files process needs to access, where the process is to be loaded, what is the size of a process, what is the priority at which it should be executed, etc. etc. So every time, one program, one application X, under execution, 3 processes getting created, P1, P2, P3. Maybe the chronological order I want to execute P1 first. So P1 is loaded in the CPU. Okay. Then once P1 is done, then P2 is loaded, then P3 is loaded, and so on. This is how the execution of an application program, which is doing multiple tasks maybe, is taken under execution when it comes to process. Now what happens? P1 comes into memory. P1 can do the task required very easily. Whatever, because P1 has got its own memory. It has got its own data structures. Similarly, with all other processes. Now, suppose there is a situation that P2 process is dependent on P1 process. P2 process is dependent on P1 process. What I want to say is, the results which are generated after the execution of P1 process are used by P2. So P2 will execute only when the P1 is done. And there is something called as message passing. That the results generated by P2 are passed over to P1, are passed over to P2, or P2 reads the message, the results generated by P1. So there has to be a communication between the process. So in order to communicate, okay, it has got its own methodology. Okay, the process address and all those things must be known. And one process gives out the data, the other process will read that data. And there comes into picture something that is communication cost. So when I am executing X, depends upon how many processes are getting created. Large number of processes, I will take larger time to execute. Then every process needs to be brought in and it will be brought out once done execution is done. So the time required, communication cost required with respect to the communication cost, the computation cost, everything is required with respect to swapping of the processes, switching, context switching of the processes. So larger number of processes, larger number of times will be switching from one process to other process. And second thing, it depends upon how much data is to be passed by one process to other process. There is a communication cost involved. There is a communication cost involved. So process execution is considered as a heavyweight execution. So process is always considered as heavyweight entity. Process is considered as heavyweight entity. Process is heavyweight entity. Now let's see the other part which can also be used for multitasking, and that is called as threading. So what is the difference between a process and thread? So we have to understand this very categorically. So again I am drawing the same diagram. Just see what is happening. I have got an application program X. It is creating some, maybe two processes. Two processes are getting created. One is P1 and one is P2. The exact place where you will find thread will be inside the process. So there is a thread 1, there is a thread 2, there is a thread 3, maybe there are 2 threads over here. So something that is very interesting is threads share same address space. What I told about processes have their own dedicated address space in memory. Where in thread, you can see this is thread 1, T1, this is thread 2, T2, this is thread 3. All 3 threads are in the same process space. So threads share same address space. Since process share same address space, that means they have got a common memory. They do not have dedicated memory. They do not have dedicated data structures. Since they share same address space, if there is some communication happening between 2 threads, there is nothing as such context switching as such, because you need not, there is no need to calculate address space of T2. So T1 wants to transfer data to T2. So the address space is same. So while data is transferred from T1 to T2, there is no context switch like happening. The data transfer happens without dedicated calculation of address. So there is an internal communication which is happening without a generation of dedicated addresses, because they share the same address space. And that is the reason when we compare a thread with a process, a thread is called as a lightweight process. So a thread is called as lightweight process. Thread is called as lightweight process. Thread is called as a lightweight process. So the major difference between a process and a thread: a process is a heavyweight process, a thread is a lightweight process. Process acquires a dedicated place in memory. They do have a dedicated address space in memory. They do have a dedicated data structures which is used for computation of intermediate results. And since processes do not share memory, there is a communication cost involved when one process wants to transfer some data to other process. It also consumes time when it is getting loaded and removed from the memory. So overall this becomes a very heavy task. Wherein thread, as we can see, threads, they share common address space. Since they share common address space, there is no context switching is happening as such. The communication is almost negligible, and that is how these threads are called as lightweight processes. So you can imagine this thread-based application, okay, to be more faster than a process-based application so far as the time constraint is concerned. Let's see what is happening in the architecture. What is the treatment given to a process as well as to a thread when it comes to OS architecture? So let's see this. So if I'll draw, okay, a process, okay, here comes the code part, the application part, here comes the data structure, maybe a register, maybe a stack, whatever is used, and there is a thread, and there is a thread. So this is how it will look for a single threaded machine. But when it comes to multi-threaded machine, what will happen? What will happen? If there are 3 threads getting created, so there is a register and stack of every thread available, and you will have a thread created. So there are 3 threads, every thread will have its own data structures, okay, and you can see they are in the same memory. You can see they are in the same memory. Since they are in the same memory, okay, they are in the same memory, the communication between the processes becomes very easy. The communication between the processes becomes very easy. So now if someone asks you a question, why thread, why not process? If someone asks you a question, why thread, why not process? Then you can say process with multiple threads make a great server. Obviously, because it takes a very light, computational power from CPU. It doesn't require dedicated CPU attention for a longer time. And because thread can share common data, they do not need the use of inter-process communication. So inter-process communication, a keyword, inter-process communication is coming into picture. So whenever 2 processes try to communicate, whenever process P1 tries to communicate with process P2, what process has to do? Process has to go through the control block of process P2. So that process will come to know where it starts, start address, end address, and what are the data structures it is used, and all detail, otherwise it's not possible. And because the data that P1 wants to share to P2 must go to the exact location where the process P2 lies. Third is thread need only stack and storage for registers, therefore threads are easy to create. As we have seen in the last diagram, thread, see here, regarding thread, the code part I am talking about, and register stack for thread 1, thread 2, thread 3, T1, T2, T3. So far as the internal computation is concerned, it has got its own memory, small data structures. But since it is lying in the same space, this communication cost becomes negligible. But what happens to the process? Okay, P1 is completely in different space. P1 is completely in different space than P2. In completely different space than P2. So P1 wants to transfer data to P2, then P1 should learn and understand the details about P2. So P2 must be loaded, P2 must be read. I am talking about the process control block of process P2, and then only based on the address of P2, P1 will transfer the data. So it is obviously a choice. What is the similarity between thread and process? What is the similarity? Like process, only one thread is active at a time. This is the similarity. So what are the similarities and dissimilarities between the two now? We have seen the dissimilarities. The similarities are like process, thread share, only one thread is active at a time. Like process, only one thread is active at a time. Second point, like process, threads within a process execute sequentially. Thread within process executes sequentially. What do you mean by this? See, program X, process P1, there are 3 threads. There is one more process P2, there are 2 threads. This is T1, T2, T3, T11, T12, T13, T21 and T22. So there is a program application X. This application has got a process P1. This application has got a process P2. This P1 process has got 3 threads. What are those? T11, T12, T13. This P2 process has got 2 threads. T21, T22. What will be the chronology of execution? What will be the chronology of execution? The probable chronology of execution will be maybe T11, maybe T21, maybe T12, maybe T13, maybe T22. Now see here, after 1-1, 1-2 has executed and then 1-3 has executed. After 2-1, 2-2 has executed. It has never happened that 2-2 is executing first and then 2-1. No, this is not possible. So within the process, all the threads execute sequentially. But the threads which belong to different process, they may execute haphazardly. See, it has not happened T11, T12, T13. After T11, T22, T22 are executed. So the threads among multiple process, yes, there may be haphazard execution. But a thread in a same process will execute sequentially. One more common point. Point number 3. Okay, like processes, again, like processes, thread can also create its own children. Thread can also create its own children. What do you mean by this? There comes into picture the multitasking operation. Again, now just here what is going on? There is a server request coming in. The server will copy its child. So if server is doing addition of two numbers, server will make one more child. X is a server, x1 is a child, and server will tell child, now you add these two numbers. Server will go back in the listening mode. So the next request, this is R1, maybe the request R2. Next request can be heard. So the moment R2 request comes, it will create one more process. Maybe X2. That also will be told, okay, you have to add some numbers. It will again go in the listening mode. There is third request R3. Again it will give birth to one more child. Again it will tell, okay, you have to add two numbers because it knows only addition of numbers. Again it will go back in the listening mode. Again it is ready to listen. So this is how multiple things are executing simultaneously. Multiple things are getting executed simultaneously. So a process is giving birth to one more process. The way this is happening with the process, the same way it can happen with the thread. And the last is, like processes, if thread is blocked, like processes, if one thread is blocked, other can run independently. So the last point is, like processes, if thread is blocked, other thread can run independently. Like processes, if thread is blocked, other can run. So what do you mean by that? So there is a application X, there is a process P1, there are 3 threads. If I block T11 is blocked, there is no problem. T12 and T13 can still execute, no issue. What are the differences? So these are the similarities that we have discussed. Let's see what are the differences between a process and a thread. The difference is, unlike processes, threads are not independent of one another. So there is one program X, again, there is process P1, there is process P2. Maybe P1 is reading from keyboard, maybe P2 is displaying on the screen, maybe there is one P3 who is doing computation. So one is reading from the keyboard input, one is reading data from input, second is displaying on the screen, third is doing computation, doing the processing part. So P1 is doing some different task, P2 is doing some different task, P3 is doing some different task. But regarding thread, you need to understand, you will have thread inside the processes. So they all contribute to the execution of the processes. So there is T11, there is T12, there is T13. If I want P1 to execute successfully, all three processes should complete it. All three threads should complete execution, because only when they will execute chronologically successfully, then only that process will be able to complete its tasks. So that is the first thing. Unlike processes, so the first difference is, what is the first difference? Unlike processes, threads are not independent of one another. So we are talking about the differences. So unlike processes, threads are not independent. Second part is, unlike processes, all threads can access every data in a stack. So they need not check for the address, they need not check for the permission. See, permission, when the address space changes, then only the attributes like permission come into existence. So they share the same address space, so there is no question of permission. They share the same address space, there is no question of calculating separate address. Okay. So unlike processes, all threads can access every address in the stack. It can access every address. Processes do not share the address space. Threads share the address space. So they can access, okay, every address in a stack. Every address. It can address every address. Third important, unlike processes, threads are designed to assist one another, to support each other. So they are supposed to execute by anticipating each other, and processes may originate from different users. They may or may not assist one another. So processes which belong to common threads belong to common process. So common threads will assist each other. And threads of different processes may not assist each other. Why? Because processes share a different address space. They do not share address space. They have a dedicated address spaces. So I told you, as the address changes, there comes the permission attributes comes into picture. So one process may not be allowed to read the data of other process. In that case, the thread of one process will not be able to assist the thread of other process. So we saw, as a continuation of process management chapter, we saw how multitasking can be achieved. We saw the two different ways of achieving multitasking. One is process based, one is thread based. And we have already seen in the previous lecture about the process management. Today we saw the thread management. We saw what is thread. We saw how thread is contributing in multitasking. And that is all for the day in this video lecture. After this, we are going to see the life cycle, maybe how it works, okay, and then we are going to go ahead with the scheduling part of this chapter. That is all for the day. Good day.